I'm going to tell you, do we believe her now? After she's had almost 4 years to solve the border crisis, and all she did was make sure that it was wide open. She never even bothered to go to the border until just this past week. And that's because this is one of the #1 issues in the campaign. Everyone knows that when Donald Trump was in office, the border was sealed. Everyone knows that since Kamala Harris has been in office, the border has been wide open. And it's not just people who are migrants who are trying to come to this country for a better life. It's criminals. It's gang members. Everybody knows that. It's terrorists, people on the terrorist watch list. Martha, this is too little too late. Nobody can believe her because her actions have said something completely different for 4 years.
Okay, I can see this is going to be a very lively debate.
Yeah, you think? Kamala Harris gets absolutely ripped to shreds over her farcical visit to the southern border, all as her poll numbers in key swing states plummet. We got the latest on Harris's disastrous stop at the border, and wait until you see the latest numbers from the single most accurate pollster of 2020. You're going to absolutely love it. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to help you stay sane in these insane times. So you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. And you know what else I want you to do? I want you to come and join me in a celebratory kickoff for my brand new book, Fight: How Trump and the MAGA Movement Are Changing the World. You know, it's not even officially out yet, gang, and it's already the #1 bestseller on Amazon in 2 different categories. And I'm so thankful to all of you who went and pre-ordered the book, and I want to show that gratitude to you. So I'm hosting a live online virtual book launch this Wednesday, October 2nd. It's completely free, but you do have to register. And as a token of gratitude to everyone who registers, I'm going to send straight to your inbox a chapter from my book completely free. So just click on the link or scan the QR code on the screen and go RSVP now. I'm going to teach you the things that not only changed my life, but the lives of so many amazing patriots all over the world. And that really is the core of my new book. The MAGA movement is changing the world, all as we are being changed and transformed in the process. And if you understand that, gang, it's going to absolutely inspire you and embolden you and impassion you as we head on into November. So this is what I want you to do. Click on that link in the description below or scan the QR code on the screen. Go RSVP for this free online event, then immediately get the intro for free as my gift to you. I can't wait to see you all Wednesday night. It's going to be epic. Kamala Harris is in complete damage control mode as she did the unthinkable, at least unthinkable from her end. She actually visited the southern border over the weekend, the very border that even the legacy media had to admit she hasn't visited in over 3 years, even though, yes, she was the border czar. She was in charge of the disastrous southern border that has been the site of millions upon millions of illegals pouring into the country during her tenure. And to add insult to her hypocritical injury, Kamala was ridiculed for wearing a $62,000 necklace to the southern border. Good old middle-class Kamala. You know, she comes from a neighborhood where everyone loves their lawns. Do you remember that? Everyone is so proud of their lawns. Well, according to her, yeah, that. But Kamala walks around a border that she's never visited, but had no problem leaving wide open, wearing a $62,000 necklace. You wonder where she gets money like that from. How many middle-class neighborhoods that really like their lawns have $62,000 necklaces lying around? Regardless, the Border Patrol Union absolutely shredded cackles for her little border stunt where she spent 20 minutes for a photo op trying to make everyone forget that over the past 3.5 years, she let in millions upon millions upon millions of illegals. And now we've got the crime stats on that. Did you see this over the weekend? This is from Fox. According to ICE, your Immigration Customs Enforcement records, they have detained, get this, over 13,000 illegal immigrants who had previously committed murder in their home countries. Over 15,000 have been previously convicted of rape. I mean, let that hit you, gang. Convicted murderers and rapists by the tens of thousands are crossing the border, and those are just the ones that got caught. I mean, there's no way around this. And Kamala thinks that showing up for a 20-minute photo op with a $60,000 necklace is just going to make all of that go away. And again, to make things even worse, as she always does, she ended up speaking out of both sides of her mouth to appease her rabid left-wing base after she tried to put on this tough guy image at the southern border. Check out what she turned around and said just literally minutes later. Check it out.
And as president, I will work with Congress to create, at long last, a pathway to citizenship for hardworking immigrants who have been here for years. For years. And deserve to have a system that works.
Well, I mean, you heard her yourself. I mean, she literally just encouraged people to cross the border illegally, right? You enter the country illegally and you figure out a way to stay here for a few years. Boom, you get rewarded with permanent citizenship. That's how the Democrats do it. Again, technically it's called anarcho-tyranny. So if you're a hardworking, law-abiding citizen, man, they are going to crack down on you with the law in any way possible. But if you're a looter, if you're a lawbreaker, if you steal, just make sure that whatever you steal is under $1,000 and you're good to go. We ain't going to prosecute you. That's anarcho-tyranny. Well, the good news is that it does look like Kamala's poll numbers are indeed collapsing. Atlas Intel dropped their swing state polls over the weekend. They are absolutely devastating for the Kamala campaign. Now, remember, Atlas Intel had the highest accuracy record of all pollsters in 2020. They were off by just tenths of a point from the actual election results in terms of the popular vote. They had a very impressive polling accuracy track record in general. Take a look at this. This is according to Atlas Intel. Trump is leading in all 5 of the major swing states. Look at these numbers. Trump is absolutely running away with it. He's up 3.4 in Michigan. He's up 3 in Pennsylvania, and he's up 1.5 in Wisconsin. That's the blue wall right there. That's it. He's leading in every single blue wall state. States that the Democrats absolutely need to win in order to win the Electoral College. Trump is up in Arizona. He's up in Georgia. We'll talk about the outlier with North Carolina in a moment. They have cackles up by 3. That's not happening, but we'll talk about that in a moment. But this swing state poll corresponds with their national poll from a couple of weeks back that found that Trump has a national lead of 3 points over Harris. That's head-to-head. With the full lineup, his lead actually grows to 4 points. Now, it wasn't just Atlas Intel over the weekend. Trafalgar, who also had a stellar record in 2020, they just dropped their latest Pennsylvania polling. And they found virtually the same thing. It's Trump up 2.2 over Harris. Now, to put this into context, Trafalgar had Biden up 2 at the same time in September of 2020. The fact that they now have Trump up 2 or closer to 3 along with the Atlas Intel poll, I mean, make no mistake, gang. This is devastating for the Harris campaign. In the polling over the course of the last 2 weeks, Trump now leads Pennsylvania in the Atlas Intel poll, the Insider Advantage poll, the Rasmussen poll, the Fox poll, which, by the way, is notoriously left-wing, unfortunately, and now, of course, Trafalgar. With all these polls showing a clear break for Trump in Pennsylvania, it's not surprising that we're seeing the Real Clear Politics polling aggregate. That's what averages out all the polls that are out there. It is now officially shifted back into Trump's favor. Trump is now leading the RCP polling aggregate in Pennsylvania. Now, again, just to put this in context, at the same time in 2020, the RCP polling average had Biden up in Pennsylvania by 5.7, nearly 6 points. And he went on to, quote, win by just 80,000 votes. In 2016, Hillary was up 2.4. And she, of course, went on to lose Pennsylvania. To add insult to injury, she was actually the first Democrat to lose Pennsylvania since 1988, since Mike Dukakis. So at this point, it doesn't look like she'll be the last, because as you can see, when you average out all the polls, Trump is now ahead of Harris. In fact, he's nearly 3 points ahead of where he was when he won Pennsylvania the last time. In Wisconsin, the Atlas Intel has Trump up by 2, 50-48. But here's the real stunner. Take a look at this. Atlas Intel, when we average it out or just round it off, Atlas Intel has Trump up by 4 in Michigan. Now, that's the shocker. He's up 3 when Jill Stein and others are included. But Axios is reporting that Michigan Democrat officials are freaking out. They're openly admitting that Michigan is slipping out of Harris's hands very fast. Their own internal polling shows that Kamala is, in their words, underwater against Trump. This is what the Kamala campaign is really freaking out over, gang, because their entire ground game assumes they got Michigan in the bag. I mean, Pennsylvania becomes totally irrelevant if they lose Michigan, or Wisconsin for that matter. Again, remember, given the state of the electoral map, Harris has to win all 3 blue wall states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, all 3. Trump only has to win 1. That's it. She has to get to that 270, she's got to have a perfect sweep. Trump only needs 1. That's why in many respects, this is Trump's election to lose. He's given 2016, 2020 norms, he's in the single most advantageous position to win this ever. Again, if we get even more granular here, Harris's polling average in Michigan is plus 2.7. That's the polling average. That's the aggregate. Biden's lead around the same time was nearly 8 in Michigan. But on election day, he only won by 2.8. So that's a polling miss around 5.1. Now, if you apply that to the plus 2.7 Harris has, plus 2.7 lead, what do you know? You end up with a Trump up 2.4, remarkably close to what Atlas Intel has right now for Trump, and comparable to the concerns that are being expressed by these Michigan Democrats saying that Kamala is underwater. Now, in fairness, the one outlier from this poll is North Carolina. Atlas Intel actually has Kamala up by 3 in North Carolina. Now, they had to publish the results because that's what they got. But I can assure you, gang, that that's not happening. I mean, that's comparable to Harris and Trump being tied in Texas or tied in Florida, for that matter. And it's just not happening. There's no conceivable universe where Trump wins all the swing states but loses North Carolina. Or compare these results to the polls coming out of Virginia, which are showing Trump and Harris neck and neck. I mean, North Carolina does not vote and never has voted to the left of Virginia, or Pennsylvania for that matter. It always, always, always votes to the right. There are far more Republicans in North Carolina than there are in Pennsylvania or Virginia. And so these numbers are way, way off. And no, the Mark Robinson thing is not affecting it, who's running for governor in North Carolina, is not. That's called reverse coattails. That a presidential candidate is somehow suffering because of a down ticket issue. No, you don't. The down ticket doesn't reverse. If you have a bad governor, you have no it doesn't matter. You have or candidate. Yeah, you have no problem voting for the Republican. That's just for president. It's just not an issue. There's no reverse coattails. We have no evidence of that whatsoever. And besides, the latest Rasmussen that just dropped over the weekend shows Trump running away with it in North Carolina. That's more in line with what we're seeing in the actual voting. Remember, the voting has already started in North Carolina in terms of mail-in ballot requests, and Republicans are crushing it. In fact, here's what the RCP polling aggregate electoral map looks like as we speak. If we take all the polling that's been done in each state and we average it out, here's where things stand as of today. Right now, all the polls taken together have the Trump-Vance ticket winning with 281 electoral votes. Now, I think it's going to be higher than that, given what we're already seeing with the early voting in Virginia and Pennsylvania and North Carolina. But as you can see again, just in terms of the polling averages, Trump has boxed Kamala out of reaching the magic 270. So when all is said and done, the pollster with the least error in 2020 has Trump winning the 5 major battleground states and up 3 nationally, all the while Cackles gets humiliated at the southern border. That is a disaster of her own making. Now, again, as always, we always want to qualify these really promising results. Anything can happen here. Do not get upset with me if things start moving in a different direction. I'm just giving you the snapshot of where we are right now. Anything can happen here. We've still got 30-plus days to go, and there's no limit to what the Democrats will stoop to win. So this ain't over. Do not get complacent. Make sure to get out there and vote. And let's make this happen, gang. Let's do it together.